Tattooing lines in different directions can make or break a tattoo, and that is exactly what we're going to cover in today's lesson. So tattooing lines, we've already done yesterday. Why are we now doing it in different directions? Ben, that's a really small step. Like I said, I want to hold your hand. We're going to build the foundations of tattooing over the next 30 days, bit by bit. The natural progression from doing a straight line is doing it in different directions. Still bite-sized chunks, exactly the same as yesterday. We're going to end up with a mat with something that we're going to actually use again later on in the course. So don't expect miracles straight away. These lessons, when you first start, are really, really hard. They look super easy on a mat. You look at them and think, fucking hell, anybody can do that. But it is totally different when you're tattooing to drawing or doing any other art form. You've got to learn and almost make your machine like another limb to your body. It's got to feel natural. It's not going to at the beginning. Like I say, don't stress at this stage. Everybody's got to start somewhere. We're on day 2. We're not expecting fucking miracles or Picasso masterpieces at the end of this lesson. What we are looking for is effort, time that you're putting in, and the consistency. That is so, so important. Again, it's a drill. It's not a fancy design. It is going to highlight every single mistake that you do. Just like yesterday, let's have a look at some of the students that have been in your shoes. This were their mats. We can see they're not perfect, but it's the building blocks. It's these lessons that took them from doing mats like that to mats like these. It is shocking how important these drills are. So please don't be under the illusion that because they're not a design, they're actually more important. And out of the thousands of people that have been through the course after the fact, I asked them, how important were those first 30 days? They all said, we've done it multiple times. That is how important they are. Listen, for me personally, I think when I first started tattooing, this was actually one of the hardest things for me to grasp. Super easy to teach. You're gonna get it straight away, the principles behind it. But for me, I just found it was awkward for my hand to move in certain directions. I should be able to do a tattoo from right to left, left to right, front to back, upside down, fucking inside out. But I just struggled. And that's why I think this lesson is so important, because I didn't have that guidance, and it's something that I actually struggled with for quite some time. And when I'm sat watching other artists, some of them at a really high level, I can see that they've got to get their bodies in really uncomfortable positions, and the simple reason is that they can't tattoo in a certain direction or they're uncomfortable doing it. So that's why this lesson is so important, because we're going to start from day 1 or 2 getting used to this fact of being able to tattoo in any direction right at the beginning. So you're going to be one step ahead of some people that's been doing it absolutely years but never took the time to just focus on this one skill. I struggled. You don't have to. So let's get your mats out, let's get your station set up, and let's enjoy putting some ink in these mats again. This is going to make loads more sense once we're actually onto the mats. Hopefully, just showing you this diagram, everybody learns stuff totally different, so I think it's vital that I show you both. But whatever you do, don't let this little bit confuse you if your way of learning is just, look, I want to do it. I totally understand that. I'm a little bit like that, but at the same time, I like to understand the theory and the knowledge behind everything, and then it helps everything make sense. So straight line in different directions, we're going to be doing squares. Let's just think A, B, C, D. Now we're going to be going in all directions. So we're going to go A to B, then B to C. So we're going away from us, pushing the line. Then we're going from left to right. Then we're pulling the line. A lot of people with them first lessons, we mainly do pushing. I purposely do that because it's the part that everybody struggles with. Pushing the line, and it's really useful because you can always see the needle. When you're pulling, you can sometimes lose the sight of what you're actually doing. So that's why I say, look, let's focus on the worst, the weak areas. Then we're obviously going to go from D to A. Super simple, super common sense. But let's just think about the hand angles, how the needle is going to enter the skin. So we can see, even though it's tilted back, look, it's still in the direction of the line. That is super important. Think back to the lesson where we just covered machine angles. When I'm going across now, if I keep my hand position in the exact same place, we can see it's no longer pointing in the direction of the line. Ideally, and it is ideally, we want to follow the direction. So we'd move as hand and body So we're actually going in the direction of the line. Listen, that's the perfect scenario. That is sometimes just so uncomfortable. It's just unfeasible to actually do it like that. So I would just keep my hand the exact same and do the square. But we now know that it's going to be ever so slightly off the line. So I'm going to be entering the line here. The ink will be slightly beyond that point. So we can actually compensate for this, and this is so useful. Let's just say that's the stencil. Zoomed right in, so that's the line that we're following. Let me swap coloured pens, make it a little bit more clear. Instead of going up the middle of the line, which allows for movement, look, we're still in the line, but we're going side to side. Obviously, this is a zoomed in version. We're now gonna aim at one side of the line. We've already covered this in another lesson, but I just want to recap. It's a lot more accurate. So rather than going up the middle, we're gonna go pick a side and be as accurate as we can. We're gonna go up. We're gonna leave the skin in the right manner. Now, because we know that the angle of the machine is gonna put the ink slightly above it, it is slightly. Instead of going in the middle of the line, I'm going to this time choose the bottom edge of the stencil, knowing that the ink is going to be slightly above and putting it almost in the middle of the line. So it's simple as that. So I'd go across the bottom, come out at skin, then I'm going to pull my line, come out of the skin, then from right to left, I'm going to do the exact same, aiming at the bottom of the stencil line, and then come out of the skin. It's all going to be super simple once we're doing it on the mat, so hopefully that just clarified it a little bit and explains what we're going to do. But these drills are perfect because it goes in all directions, and we're going to use these squares later on in the course as well. So let's get the mats out, let's get set up and have a bit of fun with machining his hand. So moving on from yesterday, we've done the straight lines. What do we do when we're changing direction? Thinking about everything that we've already learned, well, we're doing this. Again, Skins mats, they're the best by far. Use good quality stuff and it's gonna obviously make the learning process a lot easier. I'm gonna use the Bishop Power Wand 1005 round liner. Don't get fixated on the needle choice. If you've only got 3s or 7s or 12 gauges, it's still perfect practice, okay? Ideally use the same as me, but if you haven't got them, it doesn't matter. The lesson isn't about needle choice, the lesson is about learning the methods of tattooing in different lines. So I just wanted to make that clear because a lot of people get confused. So we've got our rinse cup, we've got some ointment, we've got dynamic black, a few wipes ready to start cleaning mat, everything protected and wrapped, machine wrapped. Again, it's just good practice. Listen, this isn't a person. Theoretically, we don't need to cover everything up and wrap as machines because there's no blood involved. It's just practice, but it's just getting into the good habits, isn't it? So right from day one, this is how we're going to be doing things. You should know how to set your machine up for your hand speed. If you don't, go back to the pre-course material and make sure you're watching that. So I just want to cover a few things. I'm just going to wipe the excess ink away, the excess bit of the stencil, just so it's not smudging all over as I'm wiping it. So we'll just do that bottom row. In fact, change that. I'll do the lot. So we can see as squares. Obviously, like I've already explained on the whiteboard, we're going to go from A to B, A to B, or A, B, C, C to D, D to E. So doing this little drill, obviously we're going in every single direction. It's just a really good drill to get used to going from up to down, to pull lines, left to right, right to left. Everybody's going to have the preferences, but we should be able to tattoo in any direction. So this is a really good drill to practice on your weak areas as well, because obviously we're doing them all. So I'm going to do a few with you. Now remember, as we're pushing the line, the machine is in the direction of the line. Now, ideally, think back to those early lessons. We should be twisting, so the machine now would be in the line, in the direction of the line, going from left to right. Then we should be going down, so pulling, but we're still in the direction of the line. And then right to left, we can either go from this way or twist somehow that way, it'd be really uncomfortable. But I'm not always, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Sometimes it's just uncomfortable. So like I said, that is the perfect situation. Ideally, we want to be in the directional line. It's not always feasible. Sometimes you're uncomfortable. If you're uncomfortable, comfort is more important, because if you're uncomfy, the line is going to be wobbly, it's not going to be consistent. So getting a nice solid line is more important than getting in the correct, ideal position. I just wanted to clarify that to you. So let's do a few together. So again, I want him to go from A to B. I want to practice. I'm going to enter and leave the skin in a controlled manner, not fucking bang, boosh. Yeah, nice and controlled. I'm comfortable, checking my body position. A, as soon as I can hear it and I can see that little dot appear. As soon as it does, a little bit further in, carry the line out nice and smooth, enter, leave the skin in the same way. So what I'm going to do now is just wipe it. Perfect. So if that were really sketchy and scratchy looking, I know that I'm not going deep enough. Think back to the depth, needle depth lesson. Do the little dot, carry a line out. Do the little dot, go a bit deeper if it's not quite. That is how you see the correct depth. None of these videos out there saying, right, have it so many millimeters. That is bullshit. Everybody's skin is different. A really old person, for example, the skin might be super thin. Doing it this way, it's the safest way. It's the only way that it doesn't matter where you're tattooing them or what person you're tattooing, you will always work for you the correct depth for that person. So now we're going to go from left to right or B to C. I'm going to practice. So I'm happy with that movement. I'm going to wait for that little dot and I can hear and feel it. Now. And then a little bit further, carry my line out and then come out at the skin. As easy as that. Now I'm going to do the same from there to there. Pull the line. And then I'm going to go from there to there, right to left. So one of the little tricks, this is what I want you to avoid doing. I'm going to do this a little bit faster just to demonstrate. I'm trying to go as slow as I can so you can follow. Don't come out of the mat early, and don't stay in too long. So that square, just an example, the lines overlap here. That's no good. There's a gap there, and a gap there. I see this so often. So make sure we're using his eyes. Are we right up into the corners? Do the lines meet? Really simple stuff, but for some reason, just people miss it. So I'll do another. I'll go a bit more at normal speed now. So A to B, practice. A to B. B to C, practice. C to D, practice. Give it a wipe, make sure it's solid. It is. And then carry on. So I'm going to do one more in real time without explaining it. You try and explain it to yourself, and then I'll complete rest at mat. So now I'm going to just finish the rest of the mats off. Well done for reaching it this far. Hopefully your mat looks something like mine. But again, I cannot stress this enough. If it's not perfect, don't worry. Let's not expect it to be. Hopefully you're starting to get used to, or at least understanding, the different directions. You're not going to be used to it straight away. It's not going to feel totally comfortable straight away, but it is definitely a starting point. And let's just think of it as, look, we're at point A, we're wanting to get to point B. We're actually going in the right direction now, rather than just jumping all over the place. But that's it for today's lesson. Tomorrow, we're going to take it a little step further again. Line work is so important. We've been doing short lines yesterday and today in every direction possible. What happens if those lines are a little bit longer? What happens if we run out of ink while doing a line? What happens if we get so far and then we're just uncomfortable? We've got to stop, top as ink up, change body position, and then carry that line on. Listen, we've all seen tattoos done out there on social media or wherever you've seen them. Fucking hell, hopefully not on a friend or yourself, where you can see where lines have been joined together. That little blob of ink in a straight line that should be all consistent, there's little blobs now and again, where you can clearly see that the artist has stopped and then started and it's not perfect. After tomorrow's lesson, that will not be you, and I'll see you over there. Cheers.